Hey everybody, welcome to the Inferno cast, episode number 047. I am Fox, host of the podcast and of YouTube's Inferno Fox Gaming channel. We are here, right here on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and more. And we've got a special guest joining us once again for our podcast. That is, of course, the great Feral Inferno of the YouTube channel of the same name. You can check out his live gameplays on Wednesday and Saturday evenings, as well as fun content including his Game of the Year series, which a new episode for that is imminent. Thank you so much for joining us, Farrell.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And joining me also is our fantastic cast and crew. We, of course, have Jamie Owls 87. She is my partner in crime, and partner for our monthly Games We Are Playing series. Jamie Owls, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Hi.
We also have Jason the 13th of the YouTube channel Jason the 13th. Jason, thank you so much for joining us.
Not a problem. Always happy to be here.
And the three of us are traveling to Too Many Games in
Yes,
Philadelphia,
we
PA this weekend as of the recording. So if you are in the Philly area for that, definitely say hello. You will not be able to miss us because we've got shirts. We'll be wearing them. And again, we look forward to meeting you in case you are there. And we also have joining us Simbu Darkfang. He is host of the Scurryface Wrestling Federation show, which is Sunday and Wednesday nights on Twitch, as well as retired actor at Basement of the Dead. And he also does some excellent other live gameplay on Scurryface. Simbu, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, I'm around.
You are you? Second, I thought you were behind me. When you say you're around, I never know with you.
I could be. Be
That,
afraid.
I generally am. When I don't see you here, you might be here.
He's under the desk.
Oh, that comes later. That's when I'm working, when I need him under the desk. Also joining us is Astrimedes. He is a developer and co-owner of Second Place Games. Astrimedes, thank you so much for joining us as well.
Happy to be here, watching my cat get ready to knock over my coffee in slow motion as we speak.
Oh, you got such a cute kitty there. Now, I see you got it in your hand, so
He
it's
looks
safe
cute. Yeah, I'm protecting
now.
it now by drinking all of it immediately.
We also have Stormrosesky of the Twitch and YouTube channels Stormrosesky. Storm, thank you so much for joining us, and also congrats on your newest video and
Yeah.
your newest subscriber count.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you. What top 3 sci-fi shows? One more video scheduled to come out next week, and yeah, I just hit 3,702 subscribers, so that's pretty fun for being a nothing little channel,
Yep, that's awesome.
Congrats.
It's fantastic. Super proud of you with that, and definitely looking forward to the video that you got coming up in the wire too. And last but not least, we have our Hillbilly Hardicus. He is our resident hill slut. Hardicus, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So today we're going to be talking about the reveal season, everything that's been revealed in the last month or so, because we've had the Nintendo Direct, we've had the Sony State of Play, we've had the the Xbox Showcase, the even limited run, and Steam had their own reveals and everything like that. So we're going to be discussing anything and everything that was revealed up to and including some of those crazy Twitter, Twitter shadow drops. And I've heard rumblings that we're going to be experiencing a slowdown of games, but if the total number of games announced is any indication, that slowdown isn't quite here yet. It's probably coming, but it hasn't hit yet. And these and the idea of going through these at like every single show it really isn't like conducive to the time limit that we have here. We want to keep you, the viewer slash listener, in mind. So rather than going through every single show and saying what we liked and what we didn't, we've handpicked up to five of our most excited games that were announced or reshown or revealed or given another trailer that we are the most excited to see, speak of, or really everything like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna actually gonna start off with my picks, and with the Nintendo Direct itself just being pure fire. That show alone had 10 games, 10 that I'm gonna probably end up getting or pre-ordering. So whittling it down to 5 was tough to say the least, but I'm gonna start off with a non-Nintendo Direct game, and that would be Doom: The Dark Ages. This is the sequel to Doom Eternal. Love me some Doom. Thanks to um, Storm's husband, who got me into the Doom series back when I was 8, and just playing it on the PC and everything like that. And I've been playing since. And this looks like more of the same, except with that whole medieval slant. Plus, apparently, Doom is now Captain America. He's got a shield. I mean, throwing that around, it definitely looks cool. Love the aesthetics. So I'm super excited for that. The next one I'm excited for is going to be a bit of a surprise, and this is more something that like I'm excited for because like other people are, and that's the Marvel versus Capcom Fighting Collection, the arcade classics. I love the idea that this has come back, and the idea that poor Rad Bash spent so much money to get a physical copy for the 360, and nope, now it's back. But seriously though, Rad, we love you, but the idea that it's
No,
back,
we don't.
it's got the whole rollback net code and everything. And I look forward to getting my butt handed to me by Hardicus, as that's one of the games where he would just kill me on. Next one I'm super excited for is Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. It's got that Link's Awakening aesthetic, the remake that I wasn't really too keen on until I actually started playing, and it was really cool to be able to play through that. When it was revealed, I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be another remake of some sort of like Oracle of Ages seasons, but no, brand new game, and you get to control Zelda, and it's not like cookie cutter. Oh, let's just give Zelda a sword. No, this is a whole new thing where Zelda gets her own ability because she doesn't have the Triforce of Courage. She has the Triforce of Wisdom, so she uses it to be able to use things to her own advantage. And I just love the idea of that. Also revealed again or shown again was Dragon Quest III HD 2D remake. Love the idea that this is getting the remake in that sort of a Team Asano aesthetic. It just, I love me that the turn-based RPGs. Heck, my first time playing Dragon Quest was the third entry in the mobile ports that the Switch got. So the idea that this is a more organic experience, something really true to the original, while having a couple little changes and things tossed up here, super love that. And then I also love that Fantasian Neo Dimension was shown, because this is an Apple Arcade game that was relishing on that platform. And I'm just like, oh, when is that going to get out? That was created by Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi, and soundtracked by Nobuo Uematsu. So really great to see that. And I saw physical copies of it are available for pre-order for at Play Asia. So I'm hoping we get a physical here in the States. And finally we saw Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. And anybody who's played Metroid Prime Remastered knows that this is what we saw was Switch gameplay, not a Switch successor gameplay, because the Metroid Prime Remastered was a fan-freaking-tastic version. I would say it's a remake. It says remaster, but I would say it's a remake. So we know Retro Studios knows what they're doing to be able to provide us like the highest caliber 60 FPS sort of gameplay that you would expect with the Prime series. So it was a good thing that Nintendo had rebooted it when they did over 5 years ago. I can't believe it's been 5 years. So those are the 5 games. Super excited for all of these. I could keep going on and on, but oh my goodness. Farrell, any reactions to what I said regarding these?
Yeah, I mean, you have some of the picks that I had even. So yeah, definitely have some thoughts on that. So the Zelda game, the Zelda Wisdom game looks awesome. I was very apprehensive about it when it first came up, but it's grown on me. It's grown on me. I'm still a little apprehensive, but we'll see. We'll see. And in terms of the Marvel versus Capcom game, I also look forward to kicking your tail in that when the time comes as well. So
Excellent. Yeah, oh my gosh, just the amount of announcements and whatnot for like old dogs like me, where there's something for everybody on that. I didn't even mention the Mario and Luigi Brothership new RPG game, a brand new Mario. I was expecting something like Partners in Time being remade again, but no, brand new Donkey Kong beyond that, and just crazy. But I've talked enough. I want to hear from Jason the 13th and hear what his 5 picks are.
I think you're picking on me first because you know I've got a few that are on the same list as you also. So we'll go through the quick ones. Marvel versus Capcom, because that is literally one of my favorite fighting games. I've got them all. I could love to get the collections and play the couple that I didn't get to play much of when I was younger, so that'll be awesome. Metroid Prime. I was never a first-person shooter player at all. Metroid Prime was the first first-person shooter game that I actually dove into, got into it. It just sucked me in to where I am so pumped for the finally getting a 4th one. I've played all the other 3, so I don't think I've beat them, but I have played them. And then, of course, we should have gotten Legend of Link instead of Zelda, since we're actually playing as Zelda. It should have been Legend of Link, but the Zelda games are up there in my top 5, of course, and it'll be fun to play as a different perspective instead of just running around as Link doing the same things again. So it'll be a fun little break from all the normal Zeldas, and definitely looking forward to that one. So then the 2 that are not copies, I am actually looking forward to that. What's the full title of it? The Mio Memories in Orbit.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I actually enjoyed Hollow Knight. I'm horrible at completing games, but I'm looking forward to the second Hollow Knight, and the Mio Memories in Orbit looks like it's another like Hollow Knight type of game that I think it'll be real fun, and it looks really cool. I actually like the art style that they have for it. It's kind of almost like a cartoony style, so that'll be really cool. And then I'd say the one where I actually have a piece of show and tell. I am actually looking forward to the Phantom Brave sequel.
Oh, nice.
So I got into this one because I am huge into the Disgaea series, and these were made by the same people as the Disgaea people, and some of the characters from Disgaea show up in Phantom Brave as like DLC, or like some of the same enemy characters are in it, even though it is nothing connected with the Disgaea series. But I actually enjoyed it. The play style is a little different from everything that I've seen online and everything. Everyone says it's actually a harder play style. So it'll be very interesting to see how the sequels holds up to the original. So I am definitely interested in it.
Nice. And I know we talked before the podcast about Phantom Brave. I didn't realize that you had the first one, and like
Yep.
there it is. I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah, I had to go dig it out, and I'm like, I have to have the show and tell for this one. Yeah, it's where Disgaea was like a whole, like it's basically like a chessboard, like Final Fantasy Tactics, where Phantom Brave, instead of having that chessboard, each of your characters gets a circle, and you can move within that circle and do stuff. So it's kind of a gritty, but it's not locked into a grid. So it is different in the play styles.
Interesting. That's kind of cool. Yeah, for some reason for me the aesthetic I wasn't like totally like married to with that, but like that's just my own preference.
And now when Disgaea came out and I fell in love with Disgaea, it's all under NIS America or Atlas originally. And when I fell in love with Disgaea, I tried a ton of the Atlas games and the NIS America games because of the fact of Disgaea. So that's what got me to get it, Phantom Brave in the first place. So
Nice. I got to get you into the Trail series then,
Ooh.
because a lot of that aesthetic can kind of be similar. Although maybe I don't, because there's like 10 games in that series and they're 50-hour RPGs. And yeah, maybe not, unless you want to have 500 hours to blow on JRPGs. But speaking of Nintendo, or maybe not, I want to hear Storm. Storm, what are your up to 5 picks that you've been excited for?
All right. Well, first, I'm going to give you an honorable mention because this excites me because Mike might be able to play this since he's a console or PC player, and I've got to say, God of War Ragnarok coming to PC. That's exciting for you. I'm excited for you. But, but I realized that I just yeah. Sorry, I realized my flub right now, and I'm going
That's
to
all right, Bob.
yes.
It happens, Bob.
Oh, yes, Bob.
Continue. We're good.
All right. So, number 5, I'm going to go in orders of the ones that I'm most excited for. Number 5, Silent Hill 2 on the PlayStation
Ooh.
5. That looks nice and scary, and I can't wait to try to get into more of the horror type video games. Number 4, Marvel versus Capcom. I'm jumping on that one because it's going to have the X-Men game in it that I remember playing in the arcade. And when I
Yes.
watched the trailer, it was like, oh my God, I got taken back to, standing in one of them like Haunted Trails, playing that machine for a little bit. And my cousin and I would play and beat each other up. I would beat her, but so at least may have a chance to also beat Fox there at a game. So yay for joining that line that wants to beat you.
Listeners, you hearing this? Yeah, man.
All right, number 3, the Mario and Luigi Brothership. That looks fun, and I do enjoy Nintendo's games, like the Mario series and all of that. So, number 3 is also or number 2 is also going to be another Nintendo game, and that is the Hello Kitty Island Adventures, because I absolutely love Animal Crossing. I can't wait to see what they do for Hello Kitty, and with how big the Sanrio things were for Animal Crossing when they included the Hello Kitty items and characters or villagers that you could only get through amiibos. So, this hopefully they do the characters justice in that. And my number 1 pick is the Funko Fusion. The like it's not a battle royale type, it's a fighting game with Funkos, and you have some cutouts from movies, and you're playing out some of the movie scenes like The Mummy, which has sold me right there. That's all I needed to see. And Back to the Future and Jaws. So they're including some of the universes they have as Funkos, like Five Nights at Freddy's. He-Man Masters of the Universe is going to be making an appearance, as well as some others. So I can't wait, as someone who has probably 300 to 400 of those things. Yeah, that's exciting.
Very
And
nice.
that one, PlayStation. That's not going to be on. I think it's going to be on all platforms, but I'll be getting that for the PlayStation. So
Yeah, that's understandable, because you want to have the most streamlined experience. And honestly, until the Switch successor comes out, like it at this point, unless you're playing first party Nintendo games, which those tend to be like the strongest experiences on the Switch, I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all.
And before I go, if I had an Xbox, I would look forward to Mixtape. That game looks fun, and maybe someday we'll get a port over to PlayStation or the Switch. But for now, just enjoy others' gameplays of it and trailers and whatnot. But it looked decent. So
Nice, yeah, and that's not totally an impossible proposition because Microsoft, to the ire of its fans, are porting a lot of their games to the PlayStation and the Switch. And yeah, so, sorry, Xbox fans, but all of us here, we all have either the Switch or the PS5 or maybe we PC games. So we want to see these games on our systems. But this is a very welcoming environment. Xbox fans, you are welcome to buy a PS5 and play with us. Definitely welcome to join us there. And speaking of being welcome, I want to hear from Simbu. And one of the things that I'm looking forward to Simbu's picks is him subverting expectations, and he's not going to fail me on this. Simbu, what are the up to 5 games you are looking forward to?
All right, so real quick honorable mention. As we all know, I don't own an Xbox or a PC. Therefore, Indiana Jones is not going to be something I can play until if it gets ported to the PS5. But Indiana Jones and Fable, both honorable mentions for me because I grew up playing Fable, loved the hell out of that series. So it'd be nice to see a PS5 port in the future. And then Indiana Jones. I mean, who doesn't love Indy? I mean, come on now. You had a whole idea we had a whole podcast and you gushed over indies. Shush.
That was pretty recent too.
So we'll go. I mean, I'll go 5-4 right here, right off the bat, because I've gushed over both of these already, and I don't want to do it again. 5 and 4 are Lollipop Chainsaw Repop and Star Wars Outlaws. Both look fantastic. I know Star Wars Outlaws again has a huge controversy over the blah 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 whatever. I'm not, again, my only caveat is, like, you made it a scoundrel, a smuggler. Like, just give us character creation. Let us be our own character. You know, if we want to play as a male scoundrel, we can create our own male scoundrel. If we want to play as a female scoundrel, we create our own female scoundrel. You know, like, if you're gonna do an open world game that, you know, they're kind of piggybacking off the success of Jedi Outcast and Survivor. But again, we'll see what happens. I'm not going to knock it till I try it. It could turn out to be a fantastic journey that Kay Vess and her little, you know, dog pet thingy go on. I think his name is Nix. And then the droid. I can't remember the droid's name because there's a billion droids in Star Wars and I don't know them all. Of course, Lollipop Chainsaw look, the remaster versus the original look just looks fantastic. I can't wait with the new new, even though Fox is going to scream current at me. Current gen processing power and things like that, versus what it was back in the 360 PS3 era. I can't wait to see how fluid and how quick the game and responsive the game plays this time around with current gen abilities. We're going to go to number 3. And of course, I'm not excited. I'm optimistic because Doom Eternal was a bit of a letdown for me. But I like the medievalness of the new Doom. I love the dark medieval aesthetic that they're trying to go with. I think it looks fantastic. Just like Fox already gushed over it, so I'm not going to take up too much time on that. Number 2, and I just noticed, and I was right, it is coming to all plats, not just Switch. Switch was the one that announced it. Lego Horizons.
It is not coming to Xbox.
It's not coming to Xbox?
Correct.
So Switch, PS5, and PC?
I don't know PC, but I know it's not coming to Xbox. That's been a whole controversy in of itself. A number of these announcements the last month, so many of them not coming to Xbox.
He knows you're not getting it.
But I do know it is coming to PS5. I did see that. I am excited. Anybody who knows me knows that I love the Lego games. And again, like I said before, the Lego games on the Switch and the 3DS were fun, They were cool, don't get me wrong, but when you jump to a more powerful console like the PS4 and now going to the PS5, the Series S or the Series X or the Xbox One, you get these awesome, like cool, like hub worlds that you can interact with and find stuff on, and little Easter eggs hidden throughout, and that's how you select your missions instead of just, do you want to go through door 1, 2, 3, or 4? Like door 1 might be here, then you have to go through this door and go outside, and there's 2 and 3. Then you come back inside and you go into like the back room, and there's door 4. So a lot of fun thing. Plus, you got the characters all walking around that you can talk to, and they travel in and out of the scene, which is it's fun. Jason the 13th knows all about the hub worlds in Lego Jurassic World, which is a fantastically done hub world. I should say overworld, I should say, for dungeon enthusiasts. Number 1, and since Jason, you wanted to do show and tell, I've got show and tell. I hope, I haven't seen yet. It was announced in the Nintendo Direct, but I hope it is coming to the PS5, because I have my PS4 copy right here of Fairy Tail, a fantastic JRPG using and as well as original story based in the Fairy Tail anime universe. I got to the end of this first one here. I absolutely loved it. It leaves you a massive cliffhanger. Fairy Tail 2 has been announced. It is ready. It is coming, at least for the Switch. And if it's only on the Switch, I will get it on the Switch. But,
and it has been confirmed it's coming to Steam, PS4, and PS5.
Yeah, no shocker there.
fantastic, because the PS5 copy will look better next to this one than a Switch copy.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. It would just look a little off and wouldn't run as well as the PS5. I mean, the PS5 copy is probably going to blow the PS4 one away too.
Oh yeah. So obviously, yeah, Fairy Tail 2. It's the second half. It's the finale of what this game started. I can't wait for it. Again, everybody who knows me knows I'm not big in the RPG, turn-based RPG. I'm not big in JRPG. This sucked me in for weeks and would not let go. So again, love the characters, love the interactions. I love that they have the voice actors for it. They have the authenticity of it. It's not like, oh, Natsu is now being played by Astrimedes. Well, that's not the original voice actor. They have the original voice actors for this. They have the original line, like audios and stuff like that. So it is fantastic. Absolutely love it. Cannot wait. Solid number 1, locked in. Back to you.
Yeah, and it's wonderful that they can do that, like Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, where they had all of the original voices from. When I say original, I of course mean Funimation from like season 3 and up from Dragon Ball Z for that game. So having that with Fairy Tail 2, you don't hear a sudden shift in the voice quality where it's jarring. I've had that happen in a couple JRPGs that I've experienced, that it's like, okay, why did this voice change? I know it's a thing, but yeah, for those of us watching on YouTube, Simbu is showing his hentai here.
Yep.
No, it's actually part of the promotional art from Fairy Tail 1, the PS4 version, the outside and the inside cover art. And that's the kind of thing that you can expect with Fairy Tail 2. So yeah, it was really cool, Simbu, to hear you being excited about the sequel being announced.
Yep.
Yeah. Just one other thing. I am one of those people that I will change the jacket. If you have full artwork inside, your jacket will get flipped. I don't care. The cool original artwork on the outside is great, but the full artwork on the inside, and you can look at all my games, you will see them all flipped. I absolutely love when games do that. It's not just, oh, cool, a blank slate on the inside. Oh, cool, that's actually a poster. Awesome.
Nice. No, I don't blame you. If you open it, why not? Farrell, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I had to know what Simbu's favorite character is in Fairy Tail, because I am actually a very big fan of the anime Fairy Tail. I actually own the entire anime series on Blu-ray.
Oh, nice.
All like 500 million episodes.
God. I mean, You can't talk fairy tale and not talk Natsu versus Gray. I mean,
Fire versus
probably
ice,
one
right?
of and not only that, but probably one of the best things about the show is Gray himself, because every time he shows up, where's your shirt? Oh! He's fantastic. Another smaller bit character was the salamander from the opening, where Lucy was all, oh, it's a salamander, and
Oh,
he's
yeah.
using the wing charm, and he gets her onto the boat, and then the Natsu and Happy have to fly out there to save her, and Natsu just puking all over the place because he can't handle water.
The faux salamander, yeah.
But that whole thing is just great, and I mean, if you are a female, a woman who loves anime, you will love Fairy Tail, because one of the strongest female lead characters I have ever met or ever seen is on this show. Urza.
That's my favorite.
Oh yeah.
Is
Oh yeah.
she is, yes, Urza. She is the
Mhm.
boss bee of all boss bees you could ever find. Like she beats them all up with like
She's
her
the best.
pinky.
Oh
She
yeah.
is the best.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen it myself. I'm not like huge into anime, but I like the enthusiasm just because it is quite infectious. Maybe that's something I can throw on in the middle of like doing other things. 'Cause I've heard that it's good. Hardicus, though, I am curious as to what your picks are, and general warning for the audience, if Hardicus drops out or drops off, he's had connectivity issues. So if he does drop off, we'll make sure to laugh at him like crazy. Hardicus, what are your picks?
Well, I mean, there have been some absolutely amazing ones listed already. I mean, the Mario and Luigi, the Dragon Quest, the Horizon Lego game. I've never played a Lego game, but that would be one of the titles that I would get. So there's definitely been some great ones. My number 5 would probably be State of Decay 3. You give me some zombies and some base building, and I'm a happy camper. So I've been looking forward to that one since the first. I've enjoyed the first two. You know, just sink some hours into killing zombies, building up your base, that kind of thing. The next one is kind of a tie. It's between Dragon Age and Fable.
Ooh.
I have enjoyed the Dragon Age series for a long time, but the switch to a more action-oriented has kind of got me a little nervous about the new title. And I just don't think my PC can handle Fable. After that, it would probably be Tiny Glade, which is it's a PC game. It seems it's just a very casual. I don't even know what the word for it is. Like
that's the one where you kind of drag and create buildings and kind of
Yes,
scenic stuff,
terraforming,
right?
that's the word
Yeah,
I'm
there you
thinking
go.
of.
Yeah, like Terra building forming.
Yes. So it's like you can, like as Astrimedes said, you drag your cursor and you can like terraform the landscape. You can build like a castle with different pieces. It seems like a very creative, very relaxed type of game, and I can see myself sinking many hours into that if there's enough options for building in there. Number 2 would be Civ 7. I've loved the Civilization games. Looking forward to just more Civilization games. I think I told you guys at one point I had like well over 1,000 hours in Civ 6. I had the same thing in Civ 5, so I'll be sinking another chunk of life into Civ 7, I'm sure. And my number 1 pick would be the new World of Warcraft expansion, War Within. I'm a WoW nerd, and I'm just looking forward to keep playing with my friends on that.
Very cool. Yeah, I was definitely curious what your thoughts were just with the Dragon Age, the kind of change up with the aesthetic I've heard was a thing, the action over the previous style of it being more turn-based. But I could see them wanting to try and deviate from the previous models or even other previous games that had that sort of similar style.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of, and you'll have to forgive me here. I haven't played the Dragon Age games in a while, but like it has kind of shifted from more. It never really was truly turn-based, I don't believe, but like it's gotten more action-oriented, less party management. You just set it and forget it kind of thing, where you don't have to, micromanage as much. At least that's why I remember Inquisition being. So switching to a little bit more action-based, like I'm a little worried about that. But I'm still gonna give it a try. It's still one of my favorite series that I've played, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I've watched some games. A friend play. You do some gameplay of Inquisition, and I looked at it and I'm like, this is Diablo, but like close up.
Yeah, I wouldn't compare it to Diablo personally, but because Diablo to me is just a grind fest. But
Well, the combat styles.
Just
Yeah.
speaking of the action-based
Yeah.
combat, you mean it looks almost like Diablo?
Yeah, okay. Like I said, it reminds me of like the style of combat in Diablo, where it's just click button and it's
The other one I wanted to bring attention to was South of Midnight. I don't really know much about the game, but from the trailer I saw, it looks like of gameplay. It absolutely looks beautiful to me. I can't remember what system it was going to be for, but like that one, just from the art style alone, has me curious to play it. I didn't include it in my list because I'm not excited to play it, but definitely curious about that one.
Oh, nice.
Looks like Xbox.
I think it was on the Microsoft video that I saw.
Yeah, I think that was the Xbox showcase. That sounds familiar. I think you're right.
I imagine it'll be on Xbox or PC.
Yeah, Xbox/PC or however that's what they usually do. So
yeah, I see a Steam listing also. So yeah, it's at least Xbox and PC, it would seem.
That's good. Astrimedes, speaking of Steam, I want you to let us know your top 5 and educate us on some really interesting games.
So I spent the majority of my time kind of delving through the Steam Next Fest games. Basically, Steam Next Fest was a combination of announcements of games that hadn't been announced and also demo releases across the board for everything. So some of these games, they'd been announced but didn't have demos. Some of these seemed like they kind of came out of nowhere and just got sort of announced with a demo here. In no real particular order, there is a game called Fumes it's a vehicle combat game, which is immediately up my alley. It's a game, they describe it as like an infinite chase, infinite flee kind of setup where the world is actually infinite. And essentially, the gameplay is you drive to these different. So it's a 3D game, sort of it's a adjustable camera. You drive the car around with WASD on the keyboard. Right now, they have only kind of rudimentary gamepad. The gamepad experience isn't the best, but you drive around with WASD and you aim your guns with the mouse. But there's different car body types that have different amounts of gun mounts on them. The different gun mounts have different angles, and as someone who has literally written code multiple times, both in 2D and 3D, for mounting weapons and their firing range on moving vehicles. This game is extremely up my alley, even including it has a heavy guitar instrumental soundtrack that even sounds a little bit like some kind of Dick Dale type surf music in places, which is kind of almost makes this game kind of frighteningly up my alley, but looks like really interesting. It's the team is called Fumes Team, so I would guess this is, probably these guys' first game, but looks like a really promising start. So that's Fumes, and I think I was soon Steam only, but it's a really interesting one to watch. Another one is Tactical Breach Wizards, it's called, by Tom Francis. It's a turn-based tactical combat game. It sort of looks and feels a bit like the newer XCOM games, if you're familiar with those, where you're sort of commanding units around in a map. But it's the theming is that everyone, kind of your characters and most other characters you're facing off against, are these like military themed fantasy wizards. So there's a character you interact with is the military seer, who is essentially a sniper wizard. He has an assault staff. It's very funny about kind of the language, and before there's a chance for a lot of dialogue because before they breach the room, there's sort of a funny little exchange between your kind of two characters or so that are about to go in the room, and there's often a lot of little jokey comments that are very military and kind of blend of fantasy stuff with it. There's a traffic warlock is one of the arch nemesis of who works with the police, is one of the arch nemesis of one of your characters in it. So really fun, kind of tactical, sort of puzzly-ish looking game. So another one is Wizard of Legend 2. This game, I played the original version, Wizard of Legend. I don't know how many years ago it came out on Steam. It was a very fun top-down 2D, sort of like combo and customization heavy action RPG level run sort of thing. And what they did in Wizard of Legend 2 is they translated that to 3D environment. Feels mostly the same. They actually kept most of the kind of like move sets the same. So the basic setup is you have, say, like 3 slots for your different arcana, and these different slots can each have the different arcana equipped. So you can be anything from like a very close range, slow but heavy attack kind of setup with special moves that pulls guys closer to you, to a like lightning based build that throws enemies away and then blasts them, further away from you, knocking them off ledges and stuff like that. So a lot of fun variety in how you can set your guy up. And they have at least local, but I believe also online multiplayer too, which seems really good for this kind of game. So also there was Metal Slug Tactics. This one I'm maybe a little less excited about than some of the others, but it's interesting looking. It's essentially, XCOM with Metal Slug characters is basically the way it feels. Turn-based, tactical combat. It's pretty much exactly what you'd expect. It's by Studio Leaker Studio, they're called. I don't know how much else they've done. Interesting, they got the Metal Slug license. But yeah, and the demo was pretty fun. And again, it's very kind of exactly what you'd expect, but seemed interesting. So for my, I'll just mention Nintendo. I don't know if this was announced anywhere, but I just want to say it. Darkest Dungeon 2 is coming out on Switch. So I've gone to bat multiple times on here for Darkest Dungeon 2. I'll just mention it's possible to play it on Switch. Coming soon.
When that was announced, I immediately thought of you.
I didn't even know if it showed up. I think something prompted me to look it up because I had no idea the first one had also actually been released on Switch, which surprised me. But so I'd say the last kind of pick I would be excited about. So there's a game called Phantom Blade Zero, and I haven't played a lot of the Dark Souls games Souls-like games in general, because I played Dark Souls 2 on Xbox 360 however many years ago at this point, and my immediate reaction was that I really kind of like the vibe and what the game was trying to do, but the combat felt very kind of like clunky to me, just like too clunky, I felt like. So what this game that was announced, Phantom Blade Zero, is coming out on PC and PS5, and I don't know a lot about it. I think it's from a Chinese studio, but based pretty much purely on the trailer. It looks sort of like a blend almost of Dark Souls with a Devil May Cry, which I do like the gameplay of, which is a much more actiony combo based sort of thing. So Phantom Blade Zero, just kind of a out of left field, interesting looking pick, I would say. I think that's it for me.
Nice,
think
yeah,
you got
and
Simbu's attention there.
yeah, and that was on the Sony State of Play, surprisingly. For me, it felt like that was another game that was kind of like Rise of Ronin and Wukong and Sekiro and everything else like
Yep.
that, and Ghost of Tsushima, and to that end, that's why it didn't catch my attention, only because it felt like that it's been done before. You have an Asian style game with Dark Souls sensibilities. I immediately think of Sekiro. or it's something. If it's going to be more like Devil May Cry, then I'm going to think of something more, not Ghost of Tsushima, but the Wukong game. So there wasn't any, or Rise of Ronin. It wasn't anything that for me personally that had caught my attention on that. But there are a lot of individuals that really can be excited for that. Maybe it's something where uh, it has a unique component that I'm just not seeing. But no,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
I mean, and that seems fair because, like, honestly, nothing really jumped out about kind of the presentation or anything like that to me. But I just had a feeling looking at the way the combat looked, and this could be not even accurate, but it just looked very like kind of like fast and reactive and stuff. Like it looked like it felt good to me for whatever reason.
And
Well, as long as
ultimately,
the combat is fluid, that's
Yep.
the thing.
Yep.
Like that's the biggest problem with Dark Souls or any games like that, is if your combat, like you said, is clunky feeling, very slow, irreactive to what you do. Like you have to plan, you have to guess. Like I have to guess that Farrell's gonna try and punch me in the face with his left hand, so I have to push the block for his left hand. I have to read his mind that that's what he's going to do in order to successfully defend it.
You have to learn his pattern, otherwise his punch is going to take 2/3 of your health, and you got to back away, run away, and drink your little flask, and recover about 1/4 of your health, and drink 4 flasks to recover all the health that you had been taken away, just for him to punch you again.
No, just for him to throw some, Bahamut from Final Fantasy at me.
Yeah, Farrell, you
But
would
there's
do
a
that, wouldn't
tragic backstory to why he can throw that Bahamut at you. Here, just read these forums entries that have collected all the information about it.
Yep. And maybe you'll unlock them if you defeat the horribly terrible, difficult 5 different sets of bosses, and you might get 1 lore entry. You might not. You might not.
You gotta beat all the 5 mini Pharaohs, and then they all combine into the Mega Pharaoh, and then you have to kill Mega Pharaoh.
And then
But you gotta find your way to the moon first before you can even get to that part. So
I think you need the blue whale for that, though.
a big whale, anyways, very big
The
whale.
big
Called
whale,
Dr.
that's
Light.
right.
Somebody called Dr. Light. I need a ship.
Now that we're done mixing metaphors and games and genres, Jamie Owls, I want to hear the up to 5 games that you're excited that are coming out.
There are a lot. I am really excited for a lot of games that were announced, and I narrowed it down. I had a mental checklist of what games I was going to announce, but I did make a last minute decision, and it was Stormrosesky that reminded me of a particular game that was coming out, and I completely forgot. For my number 5 pick, it's Bubsy the Collection. Limited Run Games announced this, that they are bringing out the original games, and I believe it's like a remastered or a remake, and it's the collection of all like the original games. I don't think they made an announcement exactly when it's going to be released, but I'm really excited for that. I used to play those games a lot when I was a kid. Back in the day when Blockbuster existed, I used to go there with my dad, and I used to, rent those games, and I used to love part 1 and 2. So I'm really excited for that. My other pick, number 4, my list is similar to Stormrose. So number 4 for me is for the Hello Kitty Island Adventure. I too am a big Animal Crossing fan, and I love any games that involves playing with animals. I've always been a huge fan of animals, and any game that has like little animal creatures you can play, I always gravitate to those. My number 3 pick, I mentioned this during our podcast of predictions. I know it's not a brand new one, but I'm still happy nonetheless. But the announcement of the Donkey Kong HD, I believe it was the Wii game that came out. And so I played that before, but having a newer Donkey Kong game coming out for the Switch, that really excites me because I've been wanting a Donkey Kong game for a long time. And yes, it's not a new game, but at least it's some sort of Donkey Kong. And my number 2 pick is the Silent Hill 2. Again, I'm also a big fan of all the horror genre, and so just having a new horror game coming out, which is awesome, and I'm really looking forward to that, especially around Halloween time. Getting to play a new horror game around that time. So October is definitely the month where I definitely want to play a lot of horror games. So there's a lot of games I have in mind that I want to play, or that I want to start playing at least a little earlier. Maybe like around September, I will start my whole horror collection. And number 1 for me is the Life is Strange Double Exposure. It's the story of Max Caulfield coming back. Max Caulfield is from the very first Life is Strange game, so her story is continuing. And what really excites me is not only am I a big fan of the Life is Strange series, I really love the first one, and Max Caulfield is probably my favorite character. And so getting to play her again is, to me, really awesome. And what's really cool is that you could tell that she's a little older, so I'm really curious to what the story in this game is going to be about. And the original voice actress is back again. Her name is Hannah Tell, so she's coming back to voice Max Caulfield again. And that game is going to be coming out later this year, so it's something that I'm really looking forward to playing. I could go on, but I know we narrowed down to 5, so hopefully next podcast I can mention the other games I want to play.
Yeah, I wonder if Max is going to mention her love of the Final Fantasy Spirits Within movie like she did in the first one.
Yeah.
Wasn't
yeah,
Max is in two games, isn't she? She's in the first one and then she's in Before the Storm, right?
wasn't she only mentioned?
I think
Or
she was mentioned. I know the one that you're talking about, it was more Chloe and Rachel.
Okay, I'm thinking I'm thinking Rachel. Rachel's the Rachel was the rocker chick, right?
Chloe was the rocker chick. Rachel was her
Chloe.
friend that was missing. Yeah.
Okay, Chloe. That Chloe was my favorite.
Yeah, I like
I,
Chloe too.
yeah, and it just begs the question of how the trailer showed Max sort of traversing between dimensions, and
Mhm.
with how the ending of the first game that had Max in it makes you wonder, okay, is there something to where she created 2 dimensions there, and is she traversing between them in this new game? So the whole idea of it being like that sort of storytelling, choose your own adventure sort of thing, it's definitely, it was really exciting to see it. Now it's not made by Don't Nod, the original creators of the first 2 Life is Strange, but honestly it doesn't matter because they've got a lot of the same individuals, I think, with it, and these individuals made Life is Strange 3, if I'm remembering right.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I think it was the third one, the with the colors.
Colors.
Yeah, I think it's
True
the
Colors.
maker. True Colors. Yeah, thank you.
And I haven't heard a
Oh,
physical be announced for this new Life is Strange. I'm hoping that
I thought I
physical
heard that
editions.
they're gonna be having a physical copy.
Okay, good.
You bet your
well,
butt I'm
we
getting that.
well, we can only hope that this studio that picked up a lot of the Don't Nod employees only hope that they don't micromanage stuff as we've seen in the past, in things like this. I mean, just want to talk here about True Colors. I wasn't terribly impressed with True Colors. It felt too much of a departure from the original setup for the games. But that's just my take on it. Wasn't a bad game, just kind of felt a little not Life is Strangey.
Yeah, I have. It's funny, that was one of the ones that Jamie Alls, I really didn't see you play too much, but I know you played it to completion. I think,
I did.
yeah.
I'll
But
play it again.
yes. Let's anchor our most exciting games with our fantastic guests. I normally ask Farrell to lead us off on these, but Farrell, I'm having you anchor us on purpose because I'm curious as to where your mix of 5 games are in parallel to what we each have selected.
Sure, yeah. There are some parallels here. There's some common games, but yeah, I got to open up with what Nintendo opened up with, and probably one of my biggest surprises, and that was Mario and Luigi Brothership. Now it's obviously not my hand here is not Brothership, but I had to have props. But man, I love the Mario. Some of it's hit or miss, like a lot of series are, but like Bowser's Inside Story is one of my favorite Mario games out there. This was a lot of fun. So I thought this was a series that was pretty much dead in the water. It sounded like that they were done with it. I think the developer was disbanded. I thought I had heard.
Yeah, Alpha Dream.
Yeah, so I was shocked not only to see like a new game coming for the Switch from Nintendo in this capacity. Oh yeah, nice. I got that one as well, the 3DS one. I had to go with the OG DS for the show and tell here, but I digress. But yeah, I was like, as soon as the direct started, I was like, this set me up because I was expecting kind of like, okay, we're gonna get some ports and we're gonna get some other games that we've already seen. It's like be a lot of creativity, and for them to open with a Mario Luigi game and to also prove me wrong from when we did our predictions episode here on the Inferno Fox channel, and I said no Mario is going on hibernation mode until the next Switch. I was completely wrong right from the get-go, and I couldn't be happier to be wrong. So very, very much looking forward to a new Mario Luigi game, and hopefully they can kind of pick themselves up a little bit from Dream Team and Paper Jam, which I thought were fairly weak entries in the series, especially coming off of such a strong entry with Bowser's Inside Story. I won't beat a dead horse here too much, but the Zelda Wisdom game, I already forgot the name of it. I know it's Wisdom's in the title. But the Zelda Wisdom game, when I first saw it, I was like, okay, it's going to be gimmicky. It's okay. They're just appeasing, the small, vocal minority who wanted to see Zelda playable in a game. And then I'm watching, I'm like, okay, this is kind of like a mixture of Minecraft and Zelda. I don't know, but it's Zelda. I like the link to the Link's Awakening's art style. So I was very mixed reaction the whole time. And then I started really thinking about it. I was like, I'm glad it's something different. I would have liked to see a little bit more combat in terms of like not sword, because I thought that would have been like, okay, you're just a palette swap at this point, right? What's even the point of doing that? It's like a fan-made game. So I'm glad they were doing something different, but I was expecting to see maybe like if they ever did a Zelda game to have more magical abilities, like using like maybe Did's fire or Faru's wind or Nehru's love, those types of things. But
just look at the Smash Brothers character.
Exactly. That's exactly where I was going with it. Or maybe the light bow and arrow or something. But it's growing on me. So of course it's a Zelda game. I'm going to pick it up. But it's probably my most interesting game that I'm looking forward to because I don't know how I'm going to react to it. And as much as I love the Zelda series, and it's one of my favorite series, doesn't mean they always get a pass that it's going to be a good game for Feral and Inferno. The next game is what I was expecting Jamie Owl's #1 game to be. So apparently I don't know you as well as I thought I did, but and that's Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. Man, and this is, and I think I was telling this on the podcast that we did, that this is my favorite Donkey Kong Country game. And out of all of them, Tropical Freeze, the first 3, this was my favorite. The only bad part about the Wii version for me was like the forced motion controls, like if you like Donkey Kong could like blow air and like you'd like do something with a nunchuck, or you could roll, you press something a certain way with the motion. And I remember I'd be like playing and you're getting into the game, and you got the controllers, and all of a sudden like you do a motion you didn't mean to because like you're like into you're just excited, like no, I just rolled off a cliff, oh, come on. But the level design was absolutely terrific in this, and this is going to be like, to me, it's going to be the definitive version, as long as they don't dumb it down and make it easier, which I am a little afraid of, because this was the most challenging Donkey Kong game I've ever played, Donkey Kong Country game anyways. So I'm very much looking forward to that, and I believe 2025, I think they said.
Yeah, January. Crazy.
Yeah. And a game that we all knew we were going to see. And I don't really count it so much as an announcement, but we knew we were going to see Dragon Quest III 2D HD, and this is one of my number one anticipated games that I've been looking forward to since it was announced, and then it's been kind of radio silence. Love the Octopath Traveler style, HD 2D graphics, but the actual announcement, and when I did kind of call a little bit, was Dragon Quest 1+2.
Yep.
Remake as well. So yeah, excited to get the Erdrick trilogy coming to a more modern platform, make it a little bit more accessible for a lot of fans, even myself. I mean, I started with the original Dragon Quest back in the end of 1990. I played
Dragon Warrior, right?
When it was Dragon
Yeah,
Warrior,
that was
correct.
one of my
Yep.
first
Yes.
RPGs, probably.
It was an RPG that was very much forced on me because Nintendo had sent it to me as a gift for subscribing to Nintendo Power, which I didn't realize was a gift for Nintendo Power because my aunt didn't tell me that it was coming, and I thought Nintendo was just randomly sending me a game because they could see into my Nintendo Entertainment System. I said, "Wow, this Feral Inferno guy is such a great gamer at 9 years old. We're going to send him a free game." So that's what I thought when I got a game directly from Nintendo unannounced. And my dad and I had no idea where this came from. My dad was like, "How did you order this?" So I did. I was like, Nintendo must be connected. I thought there was an internet before, internet was real huge. But I'm gonna have to ask Fox about this one here, get his input a little bit. And that is the game. You said their names earlier, and I can never remember their names because I'm horrible with names. And when we get into other countries' names, it gets even worse, which is why I work in a field that works with a lot of people's names, of course. But that is Fantasian Neo Dimension. Which is, the guys who did the music and the guy who created it, also did the last story on the Nintendo Wii. I really enjoyed this game. It has its faults for sure, but I am looking forward to. It's still a question mark. I looked up the Apple arcade gameplay of it. It looked. I'm kind of wondering how it's going to translate to another system because it looked like there was some finger things you had to do with making trails along the enemies, where your attacks could go along some type of trail or something. It looked like maybe it was finger controls or some touch controls. So I'm kind of curious about how that's going to work with the Switch, or maybe I'm just looking into it wrong because I'm watching a gameplay on YouTube. But because I did enjoy the Final Fantasy series that they worked on, I enjoyed the last story. I'm kind of curious to know if Fox, have you played the game and would you recommend it if you have?
I actually haven't, which is funny because I get 3 months free of Apple Arcade when I purchase my new laptop. But I've heard nothing but good things for people who like the classic JRPG style. I've heard this is a difficult JRPG in the difficulty level of a Bravely Default 2. So you kind of gotta plan accordingly, and it's that the whole thing with the trailer talking about the whole high risk, high reward system of collecting the monsters to fight them is a real thing. Like if you would fight one monster, you're only going to get so much experience, but if you're able to somehow collect them all and fight all 12 at once and beat them, then you can. It's exactly how Bravely Default 2 was. If you can chain the list of battles in a row, if you get 4 battles in a row, then you can get 4 times the experience. So it's kind of similar to that. There's a lot of that built in. I love I'm beating a dead horse for anybody who has heard about Fantasian, where the backgrounds are literal dioramas, real life dioramas that were filmed, where they take a camera and they filmed around these sort of dioramas that were built and then put the characters over them. Something similar to how Final Fantasy 7 through 9 was, where they had these pre-rendered backgrounds and you put the characters over. Well, this is the same thing, except with a 3D camera sort of viewing these dioramas and putting the characters in, around, and over them, and just that whole aesthetic. And it's voiced for the first time. So I don't know how I feel about that because they had if I remember the trailer, they had a silver-haired character and it sounded just like Sephiroth, and I'm like, okay, you typecasting yourself there? I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
I asked
I will
because
just say that on that note of the real world 3D camera dioramas, I love that one thing. I love that practical effects are coming back.
Yes.
I love that
Yeah,
practical
agree.
effects are coming
Yep.
back in cinema, in entertainment. Like you're seeing a lot more you're seeing the departure from, full CGI, and you're going back to things like that where, Tim Burton made the entire Nightmare Before Christmas painstakingly pushing around little, clay puppets. I love to see that the practical effects are coming back, and it is cool when they take them and use them in video games as well. It's a unique kind of feel.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. And it's something that it gives that sort of organic feel that a lot of these movies have been missing for quite a while. Anybody who's seen Doctor Strange 2 knows how good the CG wasn't. But Farrell, any other thoughts or anything with your five games?
Yeah, well, it's funny because like you're the one who kind of turned me on to it even before the direct, because me and Red were talking about that on our reactions to the partner direct back, and I believe it was in April, and you had mentioned like you were expecting to see, or you're hoping to see Fantasian come to the Switch, because you had said it was stuck on Apple and all that, and I was like, oh, and I kind of like looked into it just real briefly, and I was like, well, I get my hopes up on some other game that's probably never going to come here, so I kind of looked at it briefly, and then when I saw on this direct, I'm like, whoa, that's cool. We were just talking about it, like, hey, maybe Mistwalker was listening in on our conversation. Who knows?
Yeah, and it's funny that Hironobu Sakaguchi leaves Square Enix in shame 15, 20 years ago after Spirits Within bombed. Sorry, Max Caulfield. And then he does his own thing for a while, and then he makes this game in 2021, and then all of a sudden, Square Enix is the one that's going to be publishing this Fantasian for all the consoles, Switch, PS5, Steam. So it's kind of like he's coming home sort of feel. It's really neat. I want to wrap up our general conversation just to have let's letter grade the presentation that you have seen. If you had seen one, give it a letter grade. And this is going to change for everybody here, because I know not all of us had seen all of the presentations. So, Farrell, I'm going to start with you. Grade the presentation, and just simple grade, a couple words, because we're running on time here.
Sure.
Grade the presentations that you've seen.
Sure. Yeah, I did watch them all. I watched most of them with Complete Geek TV because they were live streaming them, so I got to watch it with them a little bit. And so I saw all of them. I was very disappointed in almost all of them. So I'm like, almost all of them were for me, anyways, were kind of Fs. Like just only not because they were bad games, because they weren't games that were for me. The Guerrilla Collective, I would say that I gave that a C because there were a few games that really kind of I liked in that one. And then I would give like a D to Devolver Digital, because they're only because like the games weren't that great, but the show is always a lot of fun that Devolver puts together. It's always creepy and fun and hilarious. The Nintendo Direct, I would give it an A minus. A minus, I would say. It really surprised me. It exceeded my expectations from where we are in the Switch's life cycle, to see the new games such as the Mario Luigi game, the new Zelda game, and and getting some other ports that were kind of cool to see. So, and of course we got to see a little bit of Metroid Prime 4. So yeah, I would say Nintendo, I give them an A minus. Just they didn't have a home run game that just kind of, I think, blew us all away, because we knew Metroid Prime was coming for the past 7 years.
Nice. Jamie Owls, how about you for the shows that you've seen? What grades would you give?
The Sony State of Play, I would definitely have to give it a D. I was very disappointed. I didn't see any games really on there except Life is Strange, and there was another one. Xbox, I would have to give it a B. And for the Nintendo Direct, I would have to give it A minus as well. I feel like the Nintendo Direct had a lot of gameplay that I could see myself getting into. But yeah, I would say the Nintendo was the one that was probably the best that I've seen.
Nice. Jason, how about you grading the presentations that you've seen?
Ooh, I've only seen two of them. Nintendo's, I would agree with Farrell. A solid A minus on that. And they had the most that I was excited for. And then I watched the Sony's, and I would say Sony got a C. Though if I had the PlayStation VR, I would think Sony's would bump up to a B because there were a couple of VR games that I really liked the looks of, like the new Aliens game for it, but I don't have Sony VR, so I'm not excited for any of those.
Nice.
Yeah, we're
And
not rich people on this podcast. We
Yeah.
can't afford the VRs and stuff like that.
yeah, sorry, listeners and viewers, we can't swing that.
I would
Uh,
love to play the VR one though.
and I say that with all the games in my background saying I can't afford a Sony VR. Yeah, a little bit of hypocrisy there, but Simbu, did you watch any of the shows? And if so, what grade would you give?
I didn't watch any of them, to be honest. I don't enjoy actually watching them anymore. Because there's always this big hype. There's this big fanfare. There's and then Redfall happens. I don't enjoy that. I don't like somebody else, I and this is me personally, of course, continue listening to the podcast, please. We love you all, but I don't like somebody else hyping me up for something. Because if I get hyped up by, let's say, Farrell hypes me up for something, and I go and I play it, and all of a sudden it like it comes out and it's trash. Like this lollipop, like for example, Star Wars Outlaws, it could be trash, but it's Star Wars. I'm going to give it the go. I've heard all the boo-hoo and the wahoos and the let's go, but I'm going to give it a go. But again, it could be a huge letdown like Assassin's Creed Valhalla was. So I don't watch them. But I would, for me personally, I'd give them all an F, just because not a lot. It's like you said, one, maybe two games per direct, or per show, and that's not really, enough to get me excited for announcements.
Astrimedes, how about you? For the shows that you watch, what would you grade?
To be honest, I mostly watched kind of lists of trailers and stuff because I don't really have a lot of patience for those in general. I kind of like, so I did watch some of the Steam Next Fest stuff. Say that 10 times fast. They presented, and how they presented it is basically like there's just a live stream going on if you go to that area in Steam, and it's really just all developer live streams that they're kind of just chaining together. For me, the thing I like in a show, any of these shows like this, you really only tend to see it in like kind of smaller things that are meant to feature indie devs, is like, someone speaking that actually worked on the game, that knows what they're talking about the game for a couple minutes, showing some gameplay. That's what I like to see. And normally you don't get that with any of these shows. So
Storm, how about you? Any grades for any of the shows that you've seen?
Honestly, probably just going to say an A for Nintendo because that's really the only one I paid attention to and watched a little bit of. The others I Googled and saw what games they announced and stuff, so I'll give the Nintendo an A just by default, which isn't fair, but that's what we're gonna go with today.
And Hardicus, how about you? And for the grades for any of the shows that you've seen, if you've seen any?
I didn't actually watch any of them either. I watched mostly like the trailers and lists of things from other content creators, just kind of going, because I don't have the patience to watch them anymore either. I've seen way too many Sean Murrays and Peter Molyneux's and what's his name from Bethesda, just either Todd Howard, like just lie flat out to the audience, or be so out of touch with their game that I can't listen to them anymore. So just going by what games I saw, though, I would say that Nintendo and Xbox did excellent. Sony, I thought, kind of didn't really have anything super interesting. The Steam Next Fest one did have a bunch of interesting titles that I'm probably going to be looking at also. But yeah, I think Xbox and Nintendo were definitely like A and B level events. Sony was probably like a D.
That's fair. Yeah, for me, when it comes to these shows, I do tend to get excited. I use the phrase hype cautiously because of the fact that Hardicus, you really hit the nail on the head. You don't know what they're saying is the true thing, especially for something with a lot of the stuff with Microsoft, because it was 2 years ago when Microsoft promised us a show with games that we're all going to release in the next 12 months. And I think Starfield was on that, and Fable was on that. And yeah, you can't take the promises with what you're seeing, what you're viewing, and everything like that. So hype responsibly. And it's one of the things that I've been burned with Nintendo Directs before is the fact that, okay, there's a whole bunch of stuff, the tea leaves are showing, and okay, now we have 8 farming sims that are shown, and it ends up to be a less of a thing. But when it comes to like with anything with life, you can either look at things and just expect the negative, or you can look at things and expect positive and be delighted when you actually see some good things. And that's what I feel we had with some of these presentations, not the Sony one, because I'm not a huge fan of 1/3 of an entire show being directed to the RC Cola of Guardians of the Galaxy. So I agree with the assessment of a D on that, and I'm being very fair. I am being very, very fair, especially because Sony themselves have essentially said no new games for first party studios until after March 2025. So yeah, again, being very fair. And they even went against that with the Astrobot game. After the new Astrobot title is the only thing that's keeping that from being an F. The Xbox thing, I was blown away with how well. But I mean, if you have a kid that craps the bed and all of a sudden they start using the toilet, yeah, you're going to be blown away. That was Xbox show, and they had a number of bangers with that. I mentioned Doom, even that Expedition 33, which caught my eye because that was a turn-based RPG for an Xbox system. We haven't seen that since Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey. Another series of bangers for the 360 that haven't been ported since then. I think, and I say that I think maybe a Blue Dragon might have been, but by far the best showing absolutely was the Nintendo Direct. It was one of those where I hyped. I'll admit it. I hyped irresponsibly. I knew a couple of the leaks. It's like, as Farrell said, Dragon Quest, and I was rewarded for my irresponsible hype with a fantastic showing. I would give it an A- because there was a little bit of deadness at about the 25 to 35 minute mark. But I mean, come on, new Mario, new Zelda, new Metroid, no Pokemon. I mean, it was great. And I say no Pokemon because Pokemon has its
They
time
have
in the
their own.
sun with its own presentation. So as Jason the 13th knows.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Xbox, I don't think I graded it. I'd give that probably a B plus. I'm very proud of Phil Spencer for toilet training the kids and getting that crap in the toilet. Seriously though, really glad that a number of those announcements are also going multiple consoles, PS5, Switch, what have you. Just like as we experienced with Simbu, a number of the Nintendo ones were, like Fairy Tail 2. So definitely a good showing. I was really happy to see a number of great games coming. I'm hoping that's going to continue, especially into 2027, 2028. I mentioned that far out because of how scary game development's kind of getting right now with all the layoffs this last year and this year, because that's going to impact 2027, 2028. But we'll see. Excited to see the Switch dedicated presentation go out with a bang versus a little little fart, what have you. So as we wrap things up here, just want to give a huge shout out again to Farrell for joining us. Farrell Inferno, you can catch again on YouTube for live gameplays. as well as for excellent content like the Game of the Year. So Farrell, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. This was a fun discussion, and glad to always gush about some great Nintendo games.
And especially huge thanks and shout out to our fantastic cast and crew. Really, when you join the Inferno cast, you join for a wide, diverse set of thoughts, opinions, and everything like that. And you get that with us. You get a lot of eclectic viewpoints, especially with me thrown in there. But you get a lot of some mainstream, not mainstream, and I really appreciate everybody being able to bring that. So we definitely thank you for that, and we thank you, the viewer and slash listener, for joining us as well. As we sign off, guys, you got any last thoughts? Parting shots, as one of my former managers used to close out meetings.
I did forget one score. I give Yacht Club a D for their show. They did announce a new Shovel Knight was coming, so that was kind of cool. But we only got an announcement of it, like, hey, it's coming sometime.
Yes,
But
Arrowhead. I am asking, port Helldivers 2 to Xbox. We need reinforcements.
Oh yeah, there's an audience there. Absolutely, it's already on PC, so why not?
They're worried their servers will catch fire if they do that. You'll have to wait.
Oh gosh. So, but thank you guys, and thank you the listener, and we hope you have a great day.